Okay. So guys, DataView 2.0. So what is DataView? So DataView is the MuleSoft expression language that we are using for accessing and transforming data. So whenever we are coding anything, right? So people who are new to Mule or who know what is MuleSoft, most of the things which you see is you drag and drop the connectors. Okay. For example, if you want to connect to a database, what you will do is you will drag and drop a database connector, give the username password, just like you are opening a Facebook login page and entering your email ID and password and just logging in, so connecting to database. So most of the MuleSoft work is about configuring things, but whatever coding part is there in MuleSoft is much about DataView. Okay, so DataView is the MuleSoft expression language. It's Mule's language for accessing and transforming data. When I say accessing and transforming data, what it is? So we can transform data first from one format to other. Again, I'm telling on a high level note. Okay, people who are new, if they want to know more. Okay, so transforming data, we can transform from one format to another. We have data in different formats, isn't it? So JSON, XML, COBOL, flat files, anything. Okay, to convert one format to another, we will be using data view. Okay, if we want to access any particular fields or some data within the payload, for example, you have like big amount of data and you want to extract only names. So what you can do, you can just use payload.name. So this is accessing some data, right? So basically we can do all kind of extraction and transformation. This is on a high level note what data we do, right? So before going into data view, I just wanted to, I know most of you know what is an array and what is an object, but I still want you to have a recap of this session, what is an array and what is an object, because even we are good developers, we sometimes miss the concept of array and object, because this is very necessary, so that new syntaxes on what we need to apply, on what kind of data we should apply those syntaxes, we'll be learning further. Okay, so first, how to identify an object and array. All right, simple thing, an object is always enclosed with flower braces. Okay, and it always contains a key and value pair. That is standard thing for object. If you want to identify an object, you have to understand that it should be enclosed within flower braces and it should be having a key value pair. Example, you can see here, name and Shravan are called key value pair, where name is called as key and value is called as Shravan. Okay, the key should always be a string. Okay, the name, whatever we are having here, name, it should be always a string, and the value can be anything. It can be another object, it can be an array or anything, but key should always be in a string and it should be wrapped within flower braces. So this is the correct form of object. This is another object. Okay, we have two key value pairs, name Shravan, id 2, and those are separated by comma. Okay, not colon or something. If you want to have more key value pairs, you have to separate it by comma. This is another valid object. Next, having, so as we have said there, an object should always be a key value pair. Here you can see there is something called Shravan. I don't know whether it is a key or it is a value, so this is not a valid object. When it is not a valid object, it is not a valid JSON. And this one here, you can see name and Shravan, yes, it has a key value pair, and you are separating it by a comma, and then you are seeing a value called 2. 2 again, it should be a key value pair, but we are seeing only one value. I don't know whether it is a value or it is a key, so it will not satisfy the object condition. Okay, so on a high level note, please understand that an object should always be enclosed within a flower braces and it should have a key value pair for sure. Okay, next thing, an array. What is an array? An array is always enclosed with square brackets and it contains only values, unlike object. Object, we have key value pairs, but array, we have only values. Example, you can see here, I have three values. Okay, Shravan, 2, and MuleSoft, which are separated by comma again here. Here, you can see here, this is array. Whether can you tell me whether this is an object or array? Guys, let it be interactive. Okay,
Object.
Object.
yeah, so object. Now try to understand object condition. Object condition is it should be wrapped within flower braces. Yes, it is wrapped within flower braces. Next condition is it should be a key value pair. So here I have key name and key value pair is always separated by colon. Yes, I have a colon. Then again, when I check this value, it is an array. Okay, now I have to validate if this is a valid array or not. So when I check the condition of array, yes, it should have only values separated by comma, and Shravan comma Lingam is a valid array, and this whole thing is a valid JSON. Okay, next, having something like this, array won't accept because arrays are only separated by commas, and it should not have key value pairs, it should have only values. Okay, let's quickly take a minute to test your skills. Just type yes or no. Okay, let me tell me whether it is a valid JSON or not. When I say valid JSON, it should satisfy all the conditions of objects and arrays. Yes, no.
Yes.
Just type yes, yes, yes. Okay, so yes, it is valid JSON because it is separated by a key value pair. Is it a valid JSON? Yes, because first, so go by here. Okay, those who are new, again, people who know object and array, it will be easier for you. But people who are new to this, just follow the rules. Okay, flower bases, that means it should be an object. Okay, this whole part should satisfy as an object. So here you can see this is key and this is your value. Again, you have to see what is this value. This value is again an object. Again, you have to check the rule whether it has a key value pair, and you are seeing is key and value. Okay, this satisfies. Can you guys tell me whether it's a valid JSON or not? Yes, it is. Okay, so can you guys tell me whether this is a valid object or not? No. What is missing here? We don't know whether it is, we are missing a key or value. See, when there is only one thing, we don't know whether it is. See, I can say this as key. Okay, but so we don't know because object, if there is only single value, it is not an object, it is not a key nor a value. So when it is within flower braces, it should have a key and value pair, or what we can do is we can make it this as a array. Clear, everyone? I don't want to extend more on this. Okay, hope you have understood what is a object and what is an array. So accordingly, we will be applying our syntaxes, like whatever syntax we are going to discuss today. We will be seeing on what syntaxes that we can apply our on object or array. Okay, next. So understanding this is done. Next, data view, the power of preview feature. Most of you might have heard or not heard, there is a feature in data view called preview, data view preview, which is very excellent feature, which I personally love because what it is used for. Okay, if you are not sure about your syntax, what you want to write, okay, you are given a task to do some transformation and you are very new to MuleSoft, or it is a lengthy kind of syntax, and to test it, okay, what you generally do is you write the syntax, run the code and check whether it is working fine or not. Yes, but if you are struggling to deploy your application, always to check whether your syntax or data view is correct or not, okay, then what we can do, data view preview helps us to overcome it. Okay, instead of deploying your application or running your application multiple times to check whether your syntax is correct or not, we can make use of this data view preview. With this data view preview, we can give some sample data and test our logic whether it is working fine or not. Okay, to make this work, okay, make sure that your tooling instance is running properly, or else this feature won't be available in your Anypoint Studio. Okay, let's check what is the data view feature, preview feature in Anypoint Studio. First of all, please make sure that if you are using Windows system, it will be under preferences. Okay, and tooling instance will be under preferences. If you are using Mac, it will be there here in Anypoint Studio. Okay, just check before using this data view preview feature. Just type tooling and check the status. Okay, if your tooling instance is running, then well and good, your data view preview feature will be available. And also try to increase your timeout, read timeout, okay, here, so that this feature is available. If you're keeping idle for some time, still it will work. Okay, so before getting started with data view preview, please check this status if it is working fine or not. All right, now my data view preview is working fine, but before that I wanted to show you something. In some any other language, right, in Java or something, if you want to test out any syntax, right, if I want to check whether a minus b or a plus b logic is working fine or not, I have to run my code and check whether it is working fine or not, right? If there is anything wrong, for example, uh, 2 by 2 commas, let me give division, okay, and let me put 0. Okay, it will give an error. So it is saying that, divided by 0 is not allowed. So every time if I wanted to check whether my syntax is correct or not, I have to run my application. But DataWeave has this wonderful feature that you can make use of this preview feature. Okay, for that, just drag and drop your transfer message. Again, I'll say sometimes DataWeave preview feature will behave differently, but always best practice upon my experience, what I used to do is drag and drop a transfer message into a separate flow. Okay, whenever you want to test some logic. Okay, don't keep anything else before this transfer message or after that. Okay, just drag and drop in a separate flow, and before clicking on this preview feature, just make it as JSON. It will give your result quickly. Okay, now you can see I have written a syntax. Okay, DataWeave 2.0 is the version which we are using. So by default, when you drag and drop a transform message, it will give output application JSON 3 dash and then a flower braces. Okay, now this is an empty object. Okay, the output of this should result into an empty object. So to check that, click on preview. Okay, now you can see, guys, please be on mute if you are not. Okay, so now you can see the output of this particular logic or syntax is an empty object. That's what is expected, right? For example, now 2 plus 3. You can see I am doing some addition operation here and it is giving my result. So I didn't run my application. Okay, I'm not deploying my application. It's just the preview feature that I am using to check out my syntax. Okay, now I'll do 3 by 0. Okay, now you will be wondering why it is showing still 5. Okay, there is another thing you want to know, that if at all this you have any syntactical error on this preview side, you will see the old successful output. Okay, previously it was 2 plus 3 5, so it is showing 5, but 3 by 0 is never a 5. Okay, here you can see something, there is erroring out. Okay, here you can see if you hover, it is saying divide by 0 error, right? So in this way we can make use of, let me do this thing. Okay, Shravan, if I type Shravan, automatically my output is showing over here. Now I want to concat two strings. Okay, Shravan plus, right, Lingam. You can see that my two strings are concatenated. Okay, to suppose if I am new to MuleSoft, or if I am new to coding itself, people from other background, right, you don't know whether you need to use plus, or you don't know whether to use plus, right? Suppose I am using plus, it is clearly showing that you call the function plus string and string, but it is expecting some other things. Okay, so to concat two strings, we should always be using plus. So with this preview feature, I was able to figure out what went wrong without deploying my application. Do you agree that this is one of the best features that we have? Yes, no, guys? Right? So please try to definitely use this particular feature if you want to code. Okay, it will really help you. Okay, next thing. So most of them ask like, I am new to DataWeave, or I started MuleSoft. DataWeave is something, which I am lacking in. Okay, guys, whenever you wanted to do some coding, or if you want to write some syntax, don't start right away, writing codes, or, writing lengthy of codes like 4 lines, 5 lines. Don't do that. Just start from scratch. Okay, observe what are the things that are required. Okay, do it step by step, which will make you easy, and you can also understand what is happening behind the scenes. Okay, before going into map and map object, I wanted to show you something. Again, I told you, right, for preview feature you need to have some sample data. Suppose you wanted to work on some payload. Okay, you have a payload which is nothing but, so you can define your local variables in this data view using var, give some name a equal to, okay, you have name colon Shravan comma id colon 2. Okay, now you can see as I am giving blank string over here, right, it is showing blank string, right? So if you have any payload which you want to work on, and there is a scenario where you want to extract the name, okay, that is your target. Okay, then what you can do is you can define a simple payload. Again, there are, like, you know, features of mapping here. You can define your input data and output data, but I am not going to discuss that in this session. I just wanted to start data in very basic level. So define your payload over here if it is a small one, okay, where a equal to this one. Now consider, if you type a, it is giving your whole output here, right? Now what is your task? You want to extract the name. So how to do that in real time? We should write the syntax, right? Whether it is payload dot name or it is payload of name, I don't know. So just I wanted to try it out by using. So what I will do is, first I will do payload of name. Okay, yes, it is working fine. Okay, or a dot name. There are many ways, okay, of extracting. It is giving the correct response with no error. So now what you can do is, now you know the syntax. Then what you can do is you can just replace that with payload. Your syntax is done and you can remove it. Okay, so in this way, this preview feature will help you to overcome this issue. Okay, so always try to utilize this. Okay, okay, got it. Shall we go with a map and map object? What is map and map object?
Hey, Shravan, can I just ask you a question here?
Yeah,
What is that line number 4? What is the dots required? Just a
it is the
syntax or what is that?
syntax. Yeah, it is the syntax. Three dashed lines. Okay, combination. It will divide the actual syntax with your local variables and all functions. If you're writing functions and all, right, local variables and functions, you can declare over here. But whatever you are writing here will be executed only whatever you write just below these lines, in general terms or layman language.
I just want to add one thing, Sawan. It's
Yeah.
the part that is above this fifth number line is called headers, like the data view headers, correct?
It's not just headers, like you can declare things like output type kind of things, what you can defining local variables or defining your custom functions, but these will not be
No, no,
execute whatever you are
I'm
writing.
saying,
Yeah,
is it called data view headers? Isn't it?
yeah, kind of, yeah. I don't know
And
whether it is Manik can explain. Manik?
and
Yeah, you want me
whatever.
to explain? I can add.
Yeah, you can add.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you see that structure of the data weave is structured as like the anything before the 3 dashes is called an header part of the script, and after that is a body of the script. So that 3 dashes separates your header and body. Body is usually your script that you want transformation script or anything, and in header part you can add anything like Shravan was saying, functions, variables, but it's right. That's the header section of the one. The very first line is just an language declaration, which is %DW 2.0 version declaration. That is always static. After that, it's all anything between that and the three spaces. Sorry, 3 dashes is your header, like he was Shravan was saying. Yeah.
And Manik, one more
Sorry.
thing, like in the background, as Java, right? So whatever we are mentioning after the fifth number line, so is in the Java class, it is using as a separator or something else? Like whatever we are mentioning in the body of the data view. So how Java class is taking it? Like that's why we are making it these lines, or is it something a different meaning?
I'm not sure if I really understood the question. Shravan, do you want to try?
No, it's not basically a Java thing which runs behind this. Okay.
Mhm.
MuleSoft expression, Mule's runtime engine is separate. DataView engine is separate. Okay. I don't remember exactly. Manik, what is that which we are using behind this for DataView?
Data view itself is a language written in Scala.
Language. Yeah.
So
So
uh,
it's not a Java thing. Yeah.
no. I mean, if you are comparing that with a Java part, and if you are coming from the Java part, you can imagine this script that you are seeing as a Java class. Your
Right.
variables that you declare there are nothing but a class variables that you have in your Java class. If you have functions, in Java method, you pass an input, right? The parameters to it. So the payload that is coming in, you can consider that, think of that as a parameter to your method, and the body of your Java method is nothing but anything after that three dashes, which is the body of the data view script. That is nothing that is similar to your Java methods whole logic that you write in your method.
Shravan, I have a question here on this DWL.
One second, Tushar. Just 1 second, Tushar. So, Shravan, if we have like very specific technical questions, maybe we can take them in the end. And
Sure.
if we have questions related to data view only, we can capture them here, like during the presentation.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, Tushar, you can go ahead.
Yeah, Shravan, you said that whatever variables we declare at the top, they are called only when we use them in the body.
Correct.
Yeah, but okay. I saw this in Mule 3. I mean, happening. I mean, it could be something that is not happening in Mule 4. But so when we had like variables at the top, and if they had some issues or errors in them, they were like getting highlighted in the DWL straight away. But if there is any issue with the function, till we don't call it from below, there was no issues.
Syntactical errors, yes, for sure. For example, let me go like a plus 4. This will give an error. Syntactical errors, typo errors, or something like that. For sure, it
If
will.
you do the same thing in function, will that also like report any
Yeah,
issues?
of course. If
Till
you,
we don't call it.
yeah, because these are syntactical errors, right? It is not, see, whatever I have written here, right? A plus 4. Okay, this is a string, and I'm trying to do that. Okay, this will work. Sorry, plus plus. This will not give an error. When I say I'm not executing this B value to execute what is B, unless and until I type B, it will not show here. But if there are any syntactical errors or something, it will definitely throw an error.
And if you put the syntactical error inside a function and that function is not called, can you try that once?
Can we do one thing, Shravan, if you don't mind? Can we keep going and take the question answers in the end?
Yeah, sure. We can do that. Yeah.
So let me do.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah, that will be a good idea.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. Okay. Let's start with map object. Okay. So
Shravan, Akshay, I have one doubt.
yeah.
Can I go ahead for that?
Yeah.
Actually, we can define the variable from the using, right? I heard, I saw somewhere something using function or.
Using is one of the syntaxes operators.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. That I wanted to understand, like at the end or no.
Yeah, using the like using joins and all, I wanted to cover it in the next session. Okay, here we are in the first session, we are going with basics. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Shravan, one
No
quick
problem.
question from me, Raj Pandey here.
Can we take the questions in the end, Raj, if you don't mind,
Yeah.
Shravan?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apologize for that, Raj. Let's keep the show going.
Or else we'll be running out of time for
Yeah,
sure.
otherwise we'll be running out of time.
Okay. So in Mule 3, we used to have, for example, so transforming one data type to other data type. Okay. In Mule 3, we used to have separate connectors to convert from one type to other. Like if you want to convert from an object to JSON, we have a connector for object to JSON connector, from string to XML, whatever it is. Okay. In Mule 3, we used to have that. But in Mule 4, we can make use of this data view to achieve this. Okay. Transfer message itself, we can define the output data type and we can convert it. Okay, Example, JSON to XML, XML to JSON, JSON to CSV, and many more. Okay, check the runtime versions and syntaxes that are supported to that runtime. Okay, one more important thing that you need to understand is whenever you are using any syntax of MuleSoft DataView language, please make sure that what is the runtime that you are using. Okay, 4.3 or 4.2. Check whether that particular syntax is working in 4.1 version, or if you are using whatever version you are using, please make sure that this particular syntax is compatible with that version. Okay, for example, let me show you one. Okay, you can see there is a join function. Okay, this is in Mule 4.3 version. Yes, it will work fine. Next, Mule 4.2 function. Okay, it is still there. Okay, but when I see Mule 4.1 version, it is not there. So join function cannot be used if you are using Mule 4.11 version. Okay, there are a lot of questions asked for me like why it is not working and all. Please make sure that whatever functions or syntaxes that you are using should be compatible with your runtime. All right, so quickly showing about converting one format to other format. For example, A is in JSON. Now I wanted to convert to an XML. Okay, just use output application XML. This will throw an error because it should have a root tag. Okay, let me put root. Okay, this is very simple way to convert from one format to another format. Okay, JSON to XML, or if you have XML, you can keep XML to JSON. Okay, and next CSV, you can have that. Then you can remove this A. Okay, you can convert it into CSV. Okay, this is very simple. No need, we don't have any separate connectors to to convert from one format to another. You can do all these things within DataView. All right. Next, coming to map and map object, guys. These are the most common used operators across our projects. So map operators is used on arrays. Okay, if you want to extract any data, if you want to transform any data from one format to other, then you can make use of this map operator on arrays. And map object is used for objects. All right. You cannot use map object for arrays, and you cannot use map operator for objects. Okay, this is the basic thing which you need to do. You need to understand that you cannot apply map for objects. You cannot apply map object on arrays. Okay, before writing any syntaxes, please keep these things in mind. Okay, next, dollar is used something to give the value of that particular field or key. Okay, we'll see in the hands-on. And then dollar gives the index of that particular field. All right, and use of star we shall see in the hands-on. Okay, first let me go through what is map operator. I told map operator is used to, you are able to see my screen, right? Right.
Yes, Shravan, you're good.
Yeah. So map operator, what map operator does is it can be applied on arrays, and whatever transformation you are doing, it will give the resultant output also in an array. Okay. So before going to these things, let me put, sorry. Okay. So let me go to preview and let me show the result A. So I have A, which is considered this as a payload, okay, which has array of objects, right? I have two objects, which internally has name, okay, and IDs. Okay, this is my array which I am having, and I wanted to apply this map function on this particular payload. So just before writing the syntax, what you can do is, what you can observe is, just type A space map and just give dollar. What is happening here? A map dollar, you can see the same result, that A map dollar and A is one and the same. Okay. Now, if I have a requirement where I need to convert my names into uppercase. Okay. In that case, we should be using this map operator to do this kind of transformation. Okay. Now, what is my goal? My goal is to convert these particular names into uppercase. Now, first I'll go with map. Okay. Then the syntax is open the flower bases. and just enter it. I'll show you what is the other way of doing things. But for now, just don't write the syntax directly. Just observe what is happening over here. A, map, and flower braces. And what you are seeing over here is an array with two empty objects. That means whenever you are writing this A map, this empty braces, it will show the number of objects that we are having within our payload. So we have two, as we are having two objects, it is giving two payloads. Okay. Now let's get started. If you want to modify your key, okay, if you want to modify your key, instead of name, you can say candidate. In such cases, you can use, okay, you can just type candidate colon, just I'll keep it as empty. Now you can see what is happening. Okay, I'm just explaining step by step. Again, for who are already having experience, it will be a small thing for you, but people who are new, just observe how things are been happening here. You can see here candidate, you are seeing two candidates with empty values. Now I have to fill the name here, right? Now I don't know what is the syntax. So first what I will do is I will keep dollar. Okay, when I'm using dollar, what is happening is candidate, and my whole object, my whole first object is displaying over here. Next candidate, my second object is displaying over here. So map is iterating to each object. Okay, it will iterate just like a for loop. Okay, it will iterate over each object and displays over here. But my requirement is I want only name. So what I can do now, consider this as one payload. Now you want to extract only name. What you can do, dot name. Okay, if I keep dot name, now you can see it is extracting only names. Now you have to understand what is dollar. Dollar is to extract the value of any specific key. Okay, now can dollar dot name. If I give dollar dot ID, it will give ID values. Understood, guys? So dollar dot name is giving names. And what you can do is, my requirement is to convert into uppercase. So we have very simple function in MuleSoft. Just give upper of this one. Okay, clear? And what if one of my values is null? Okay, it is working fine. Clear till here? So dollar dot name will give these values, and you can just use upper of this thing. Okay, now let me put my names over here. Now next thing I wanted to tell you is comma ID. Okay, now I don't want, let me put this thing. I want this key name. Okay, I want this key name should be something like dynamic. For example, you have a key name, something stored in original. This, guys, again, don't get confused. This variable is not something which we call as variables, vars dot. Okay, this is totally different. This variable, this var is confined to this local environment. Okay, this local transform message. Okay, this is called local variable. For example, if you have some other value which is like, you know, you are storing from somewhere vars dot name. Okay, you have that key value somewhere like vars dot name. Now let me keep that as some, you know, instead of ID, I'll say roll number. Okay, I want this value should be printed as my key. So how to have that dynamic, you know, dynamic way of defining keys? So what you can do is, okay, B. Okay, now you can see. So if you want to dynamically have the values for these keys, you can make use of this syntax within single quotes or double quotes, dollar of small braces B. Clear how to define dynamic values for keys, right? Now what I wanted to do is dollar dot. Okay, here I am not defining dollar dot because that will go like fetching values. Okay, I am giving small braces of B that will pick the values whatever is defined over here. Okay, if you have some var dot something or payload, whatever it is, you can just define here in local variable and then define over here. Okay, now what I wanted to do is dollar dot ID. Now I have IDs over here. Okay, next thing what I wanted to show you is, this is one way of using map syntax. Okay, what is the second way of having that? Okay, and one more thing as I wanted to show you is, let me remove this. and let me uncomment this. So here you can see first what is dollar. Okay, here it is giving error. Can anyone tell why? Why it is throwing error over here? Cannot coerce object, blah blah blah. Here you are writing something like dollar. Okay, I need to escape that. Okay,
I think you have to put that a dollar in round braces, then it will not give an error. Seems.
yeah, or you can just escape it. Okay, you can keep in small braces or you can just keep backslash.
Okay.
Okay, so what is dollar here now? Dollar is giving the whole result value, okay, of that particular index. Okay, this is the first object, this is the second object, it will give the whole part. Next, what is dollar dollar? You can see, right, what is dollar dollar? In place of dollar dollar, it is printing zeros and ones. Okay, dollar dollar is nothing but the index. Okay, this is the first one, this is the second one. Okay, zero, it starts with 0. Okay, 0 and 1. Again, you can make use of this, or you can just wrap it within small braces. Okay, clear? This is dollar dollar. Next, this I have shown you how to call dynamic keys. Okay, let me remove this. Now there is another way to define another syntax for map. What is that? Okay, now I'll just remove this and keep dollar. Okay, this is giving the whole payload. Next thing is we can pass some arguments. Okay, just remember this structure. Okay, for now please do remember this structure for map or map object. From here you can always use this kind of structure and you can pass arguments like anything. Okay, let me put like a comma b for now. Okay, understand this syntax. Whatever payload you want to apply on a, then map, you need to pass arguments. Arguments are always passed within small braces, then a dash with greater than symbol and this thing. Okay, now what is a? If you see, a is acting like dollar, right? A is acting like dollar. If I want to extract the name, I'm using dollar dollar. Sorry, a dot name, just like we did for dollar dot name, right? Next, what is b? B. Okay, it is giving the index. So these arguments, okay, and if I give like comma c, it will give an expression error saying that this map operator can accept only 2 parameters. Okay, not enough arguments. Okay, it will accept only two arguments for map. Okay, but in map object it will accept 3 parameters that we'll see when we are seeing about map object. Okay, for now a comma b, you can give any kind of names over here, but please give some valid names, value, comma, okay, index. Okay, and try to use the same here. Now you can see this a is giving something like this. A is taking as this whole payload and this b is taking as local variable. But when I'm using this a comma b here, this a and b will be taken from here. Okay, try to understand that part. Anyone has any doubts here? What is happening over here? If I'm using a comma b, this a dot name Shravan is coming fine, a dot Lingam is coming fine, and b is giving zeros and ones. B is not giving as roll number because this, the first priority is to be taken from here. Clear, everyone? Yes. So as I said, sorry. As I said, please give proper namings. Okay, and you can just type value dot name and then index. This will give you values. Okay, why to use, why to use value and index? Why to use this format? Why not we go, because a map, this was very simple using dollar and dollar. Why we are going with this one? Why we have to choose this one? So for example, let me tell you, I want something. Let me remove these things. Okay, a map, let me put dollar dot name and let me put dollar dollar. Okay, and then correct, someone has been right. inner loops. So if you want to have a scenario where I want to, let me create a scenario for this. Okay, let me just, if you are having any data, something like this. Okay, I have a scenario where I need to generate new IDs. Okay, where it should be a combination, something like, you know, Shravan dash 1, something like that. Okay, Shravan.1, Shravan dash the first roll number, very first roll number. So to do that, what I can do, I can say $.name plus, okay, $. Again, I need to do this mapping things, right? Because ID is also an array. So what I should do is $.id. Okay, it will not allow because it should be a let me create a scenario $.id. Okay, and dot role, okay, or map. I'll do this map dot role. Okay, I have these values. Now what I want to do is, in my resultant, I want to add this Shravan over here. In my key, I want something like to add plus something like Shravan. It should come like this. Okay, 1 Shravan, 2 Shravan, 3 Shravan. But here, can I achieve this? If I use $.name, is it taking? Here it is giving an error, but still I want to access my name over here, but it is not able to access here because this dollar now is confined to $.id array. This $.id doesn't have this name, right? In such cases, we have to go with, you know, this syntax. Okay, you can see like A comma B. Let me put for now. Okay, then I'll say A, B. Okay, now A comma B. Now what I can do is, instead in place of this $.name, I can define A.name. Now you can see that without any errors, you are getting this result. Anyone who has any doubts here, what we have done? So if you have any nested loops, so it's always better. Here also, what you can do is, instead of having map, you can say C comma D. Okay, and please try to use C.roll. Okay, it's always best practice to have this kind of syntax. Everyone understood this point? Why we are going in that way? Yes, no? Okay, so at the end, I wanted to tell you that it's always best to have this syntax. Okay, best practice. Clear? Hope you have understood this. And next thing I wanted to tell you is A.id dot roll. Okay, what happened? A.id dot roll. Why it is giving null? Okay.
Double dot.
It should not give double dot.
Star ID.
Array, right?
Interesting. Okay, here we have something like A.id. Consider this as payload. A.id is giving something like this. Okay, so ID of 0. So this is this is one of the features for, you know, of DataView preview. I am not sure about my syntax, but I am just trying out here. Okay, a dot. So when I used a dot id, you can observe that there are like some extra square brackets over here. Okay, it's like array of arrays, and within array we have objects, right? So first I wanted to remove this bracket. Okay, so for that I'm using of 0, and it is giving only first part, isn't it? So let me put, if we can give stars. Sorry. Of 0 will give 1, and dot, let me keep for this for now this. Okay, I'll come up with another example. I think I have that example. So generally when we the reason why we need to use star is to extract all the values from an array. Okay, so let me put, I don't know why it is name or
Flatten it.
sorry,
Flatten.
yeah, flatten is another syntax. That's what I wanted to show that. Okay, I'll show that. Okay, I have another example for that. Okay, I wanted to show an example for use of star here. I'm just trying to get an example for that. When you are having multiple, let me keep, if you have an example. Okay, when I have an example, I'll show you that. Okay, so usually star is used to extract all the values from an array. Okay, if sometimes what will happen is when you're working with XMLs and all, if you have like multiple roll numbers tags, right? If you're using a dot roll number, it will give only the first value. It will not give all the values. Okay, if you want to have all the values, you need to specify this first show. Clear? Next thing. So how to have dynamic keys? I think I have explained you. Okay, you can just wrap it within dollar of whatever value it is, which is defined above, and you can specify here. This is how you can have dynamic this thing. Okay, so let me have this map object next. Okay, so map object, I told you, right? Map object is used on objects. You cannot do it on arrays. Again, one more thing I wanted to show you is you cannot apply array. Sorry. Oops. You. Okay, so you cannot apply a map or map operator on object. So to just show that, for example, if we have a, okay, a equal to, just if we have an object, this a is now an object, right? A is an object. Okay, now if you try to use map operator here, it will say that you call the function map with object. Okay, it expects an array. Clear? So we cannot do map operation on objects. Okay, next thing is map objector. So map object, again, the syntax is very similar. The syntax is very similar to map operator. Okay, a whatever it is, map object. Okay, here map object can accept three keys, three arguments, which are like value, key, and index. Okay, the order is value, key, index. It can accept three arguments. Based upon your utilization, you can use whether 2 arguments or 3 arguments. Okay, so a map object, similarly hyphen, greater than symbol, and flower basis. Okay, and you can apply only on objects. So you can see here a equal to name, id, all these are map objects, isn't it? So what is value here? What is this value? If I just remove it, okay, What is value here? It is giving Shravan 2 and this parts. Okay. So basically it is defining, it is giving the values from an object, all the values. Okay. Next, what is key? You can see it is giving the key names like name, ID, tech. These are the keys. Okay. Root keys. Okay. Next, what is index? Pretty simple. We have 0, 1, and 2. Like this part, and the index will be something like number of key value pairs in the root object. Okay, 1 key value pair, 2 key value pair, and 3 key value pair. Okay, so and if you want to do any kind of operations, you can use value key index. Okay, and here you cannot use dollar and dollar dollar. You have to define your value or this thing. Now, what I wanted to do is I want to remove something here. This one I wanted to remove this, and I wanted to show you what is key. Okay, keys are giving like this. Okay, and values, you can see we are getting values. If you want to have index, you can define index, and then please try to use index here. Okay, it will accept 3 arguments. Map object, mostly we won't be using, just if at all I want to extract the name, I can just directly say a dot name. Simple. There is no need for map objects. But if at all your payload is having like an object containing an array again inside it, you can use that. For example, let me put so how to use the combination of map and map object? Okay, let me add these things. This is A. Okay, next map object syntax, this one. Okay, you need to pass some, value comma key comma index. Index is an optional thing. Okay, here now I have this my values, some key I wanted to give. Then I want to extract value dot tech. Sorry, key dot, this is key value dot tech. 1 second. Or I can just give a dot tech. Okay, and here I can use map on this. Okay, clear? I can have two values here. Okay, so this is more about map object. Map object in real time, generally we will be using very less, but you need to understand that any kind of transformation you want to do, you can do it using a map object on objects. Clear? Then I wanted to show you one tabular form. Okay, on what is the operator and on which kind of data type input that we can use on, and what is the output type and what it is used for. Okay, map operator, it is used on arrays, and the output type is array, used for arrays of objects. Map object, it is applied only on objects. The resultant is also an object. Okay, next reduce operator, we will see we can apply a reduce operator on arrays, and output type can be anything, whether it's a string or object. Okay, to reduce into a given expression. Next, plug, it is used only on objects. Okay, plug and map objects seems to be similar. Okay, it will be similar. Only difference is the output for plug is always an array. And flatten, we use it on arrays, and we are using this to combine a set of arrays. Okay, let's do some hands-on on those three. Let's go with flatten first. Okay, consider that I have these many arrays. Okay, or values are arrays. Let's see what I am doing. Okay, so A here, let me keep JSON. Okay, I have A flatten A comma B. Sorry. Okay, can you see what is happening here? Question, does anyone know a use case where we would prefer map object over map? Map and map object are totally different. As I said, map object is only used on objects. So those are like totally different things. Does that answer my question? Okay. Okay. So flatten, what you can do is, sorry about that, guys. So flatten is used to combine two arrays. For example, I have an array where suppose, let me put like this, okay? A comma B or A comma D, which looks good, okay? You can see I have an array A, which is 1, 2, 3, and I have an array D, A comma B. Clear? Where is this B coming from? Okay, sorry, this D is different. Let me have X, okay? I just wanted to start with small one, okay? A comma X. You can see I have values 1 comma 2 comma 3, and I have 4 comma 5 comma X. Okay, 4 comma 5 comma 6, but I want to combine all these values into a single thing. Okay, in that case what you can do is you can just apply flatten on these things, and now you can see how it is merged into a single array. Clear on this, guys? Yes, no? Right? So flatten is used to combine the values of arrays, and it can be only applied on arrays. For example, we have a variable C, which is an object. If I try to keep A comma C, right? It can combine A comma C because I am wrapping this inside an array. Can you see here? In small braces, let me remove this. Okay. A is this and C is this. What I'm trying to do first is, if I give A plus C, or A comma C, both will give the same thing. Okay. But you can see the resultant is an array, right? The resultant should be an array to apply flatten. Or else what will happen? If I just use flatten of C, it will give an error saying that you call the function object, but it is expecting an array. Okay. If you still want to combine this object into an array, so this C is a single value. Consider this as a single value, and we can merge with, or what you can do is you can keep this C within a square braces. Now it will work. Clear? So flatten will work, can be applied only on arrays, and output type also returns an array. Now, for example, D. What is D? D is combination of A comma B. 1, 2, 3, name, name. Okay. Now I want to flatten this D. So what it is ideally doing, it is removing this extra square brackets and so if I remove this flatten, what we are having is we have two combinations of sets of arrays. This is one set of array and this is another set of array. To combine those two which are separated by commas, this flatten will merge those two parts. Clear, everyone? Yes, no?
We are getting
And
yes, Shravan.
yeah. So, and one more thing, it accepts only single argument. If I try to use a D comma Z, you cannot do that. What it is saying? Too many arguments. Okay. So if at all, if you want to merge two things before applying flatten, please try to do this part. Okay. Here you can see I have done A and B. First I have stored into one variable, and then I am using flatten D. Clear? This is one of the important points that you need to understand. Okay, you cannot pass two arguments within flatten, but you can do some kind of expression kind of thing. For example, A plus B, A plus X, you can do, because this is a single argument, right? A plus X result in single argument. Clear? But you cannot pass A comma X, that is wrong. But you can pass again A comma X within square brackets, because this whole array is a single argument. Got it? Shall we move on to
Yes,
next
sure.
operator?
Yes,
Right.
sure.
Next, pluck operator. As I said, pluck operator is used only on objects. It can be applied only on object. Okay. And then the result of pluck would be an array. Okay. Just let's see what is pluck. For example, I have A, which is an XML, which has prices. Okay. I'm just for this reading purpose, this XML, this A is an XML. Okay. Just to want to show you. Okay. So this read operation is nothing but if you are having any string which is of type, suppose if this string is validating an XML, then we can convert this string to XML using this read function. Again, this read operator, write operator, we will be seeing in next sessions. But for this here, A is nothing but an XML which has prices, okay, basic, premium, and VIP, all these things. So I'll just remove this and keep JSON. Okay. Now let's observe what is A first. Okay, my A is this. Next, pluck dollar. It is saying we need to pass something, right? So, sorry. What it is doing, pluck dollar dollar. It is picking up the root tag here. Okay. Next, what is dollar 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 doing? It is having one index because this is the root tag. Now, if I use A dot prices, okay, it is giving three values 0, 1, 2, that is basic, premium, and VIP things. Okay. And if I use pluck is something like it is picking up, right? So if I use pluck dollar dollar, it is giving all the key values. So whenever you are asked, whenever there is a scenario where you are asked to fetch all the keys, right, you can make use of this option A dot, pluck dollar dollar. Clear, everyone? What Flux does? And you can see A is an object, right? Let me remove this. A dot prices is an object, and when I'm applying pluck, it is resulting into an array. Okay, output type will always be array. And where we want to use this scenario is if you want to plug some specific things. Okay, now if I'm using dollar, it is plucking the values. If I'm using dollar dollar, it is plucking the key values. If I'm using dollar dollar dollar, it is plucking the indexes values. Clear? On a very high level note. And if I use map object, of course map object will not accept this expression. We need to have these things. Okay, you can see here, let me put x, x comma y comma z. Okay, and x is what happened, A dot prices. Okay, map object x comma y comma z. My data is doing issues. So x colon x, which is giving your values right here. So let me put same thing, A dot prices pluck dollar. Let me remove this. Okay, you can see A dot prices, when you're applying map object, it is an object. Okay, and when I'm using A dot prices pluck dollar, it is giving the values in an array. Okay, to specifically pick some values or keys or index. Clear? How the variable A decided as object here. Okay, so okay, just to not make you confused, let me do one thing. Okay, A is nothing but this. Okay, this is an XML. Okay, XML, we have only one prices tag, so that's the reason I'm having this. But just to not confuse you. This is what we have done previously. Clear, Kishore? A is this example which I was showing. Okay, great. So everyone okay with plug? Shall we move on?
We are getting
Further one?
multiple yes. We can
Okay.
move on, Shravan.
Okay, great. So other one is reduce operation, a typical one. Okay, I don't be explaining very deep into that, but I wanted to show you some tricks like to understand in a better way for your understanding. Okay, so reduce, as I have said, like it is used on arrays. Okay, and reduce is it uses some kind of lambda expressions. Okay, lambda expressions are nothing but the functions which don't have a name. Okay, it's just an expression which we want to reduce. For example, okay, for example, I have an array. Okay, let me keep this aside. Okay, just try to understand in a high level note. Again, you have this concept of, you can learn more about reduce in MuleSoft documentation, where you have something called accumulation and all thing. But if you try to observe few examples, you will get to know what reduce does. Okay, so for example, now I have a value Shravan, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, this one, and I want to reduce. Just I'll type reduce $. What it is giving, when you use reduce only $ alone, it will give only the last value of that particular array. This you have to understand when you write this syntax, right? Reduce. Please try to understand that if you want to reduce into some expressions, please use specific syntaxes. If you just use reduce $, it will give the last value. If you use $, it will give the first value. Okay, so there is no use of using this only $ or only $, alone. Okay, so I will comment out this. Now I'll uncomment this part. Here you can see I am using Shravan 2, 3, 4, 5 reduce $++$. What it is doing over here, it is concatenating all the values here. Yes, no, understood this one? It is concatenating, this expression is concatenating all these values, Shravan 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so something we call this as like, accumulator. Okay, I'll show you that what is accumulator or what is this. Okay, so if you
Shravan,
are
one
using,
quick question.
yeah.
So on a layman basis understanding, so when you say $, it will pick the last object, okay? Correct?
Last value.
Yeah, the last object of the value. Okay. So $, is 5, and when you say $, it's picking the first object. When you say both, on a layman understanding A plus B, I call it as A plus B. So Shravan plus 5 is the expected output, which we understand from the syntax of $, and $.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to show you that there is an accumulation concept. Okay, it's a typical thing to understand, but here you can see accumulator is something but $. Okay, accumulator can be different as $, used to store the result of the lambda expression after each iteration of the reduced operation. Okay, it's like, it will store first, it will iterate first value. Okay, Shravan, next Shravan 2, next Shravan 2, 3, next Shravan 2, 3, 4, next Shravan 2, 3, 4, 5, and finally it will give Shravan 2, 3, 4, 5, something like that. That's why I said like it's bit why it is giving, sorry. Okay, what happened?
You have to give
Plus,
space
plus.
in between.
Plus.
Oh, sorry, plus, yeah.
Give space, yeah. And single.
Okay, so what it will do is like accumulator is something which will add the resultant of each iteration. Like first value is Shravan. Okay, because I wanted to show you like first it is $, right? So what it will do is first Shravan, next Shravan 2, next Shravan 2, 3, next Shravan 2, 3, 4, next Shravan 2, 3, 4, 5. Clear on that? Let's see more examples. You might get better understanding. Okay, now I have a.id, which is like 1, 2. Okay, I am reducing it. and dollar dollar plus dollar. And what if I use like dollar plus plus dollar dollar? It is happening the reverse way of concatenation, right? If I remove this and if I show you this, dollar plus plus is kind of 5 4 3 2 Shravan, right? Next, so a dot id basically will result in an array. Okay, a dot id gives 1 comma 2. When I try to use reduce function, it is reducing it to reverse way, because I'm using dollar plus plus dollar dollar. If you want in other way, 1 2 dollar dollar plus plus dollar. Okay, this is one way. And this I have shown reduce all these things. So when we are not using dollar and dollar dollar, you can make use of item or accumulation. Okay, it's like, you know, just we have used like dollar 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 in map and map object and then passing arguments, right? In the same way in reduce we can pass these arguments as like item comma acc, and item just behaves like, you know, a dollar or dollar dollar. One second. So here it is giving first value, right? So item will give like, it behaves like dollar value. Okay, single dollar. And accumulator will give the last value. Okay, it is one and the same. If you are using this expression, okay, let me put these values only here for better understanding. Okay, here you can see it is picking up the first value, and then if I using item, it is taking the last value. Okay, so it is one and the same. And suppose let me put uncomment this, and I have something like this: a dot id reduce item comma accumulator value equal to 5, and then it is giving item into accumulator value. So first, what is item? Okay, item value is 2, and if you are defining any value like here accumulator equal to 5, then it will directly multiply 2 with this one. Clear? Sure, this thing. Okay, sure, Naraj. Yeah, I'll be taking 5 more minutes on dates. Okay, and hope you can understand this, what is happening over here. So reduce function is something complicated to understand, but try to you know, do some hands-on on it. You will try to understand the scenario. Okay, what is accumulator and all, and we have some documentation on this on reduce. Okay, where you can, here also there are like number of examples here. Clear? Then let me remove this. A dot id reduce. So what is happening is item plus plus acc will give like, you know, reverse of a number. Next, something which I want to show here again, 3 2s are 6. Okay, next, a reduced dollar is giving, here you can see a reduced dollar, again dollar, as it is the last value, it will give the last value. Okay, if you use dollar dollar, it will give the first value, first object. Okay, next,
Hey, Shravan, can you just uncomment 23 once?
23 6, just we have done somewhere here, right?
No, that's 2 into 3. That's a different story. But here the question here is ID has 1 and 2, and the item is 1, and accumulator is 3. 1 plus 3 equal to 4, na?
1 second. 2, yes. So let me check on that. I have to see. Manik, you want to add something on here?
I think ID has value 1 and 2, right? So that is 3 plus 3 might be like that.
Probably, yeah. 1 2 plus 2, but ideally, okay.
But ID
yeah,
will
yeah.
be 1.
I'll here what is happening is, I think, and that's my way of understanding, item 1 into 2 is 2, and 2 5s are 10. That's what my understanding, but let me keep 3 here.
But what is the value of item? Is it a 2 or 1?
When you are using item alone, it will give only the last value. When you are using some accumulator, then it is like, accumulating. Just we have seen, right? When we are using item alone, it will give the last value. But when you
Correct.
are
So
using
3 into 5, it's working. 3 into 5, it's 15. It's working perfectly.
now, let's go here. This one, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So 3 plus 1 plus 3. So it is adding 1 plus 3, which is 4. And then plus 3, it is 7. Shall we do multiplication here? 3 into 1, right? Into 3. And if you give 4, if you give 2 here, 2 3s are 6, 6 4s are 24. And if you are giving plus 2 plus 3, 5, 5 plus 4, 9. Clear? It's iterating over I because we are giving a dot id.
Yep. Thanks, man. We'll just explore a little bit on reduce.
Reduce is a bit complicated, but if you try to understand with these examples, right, it will be a bit easier. Okay. Guys, okay?
Yes, Shravan. We are getting
Okay.
a lot of vibes.
I'll take 5 more minutes to complete the date part. Okay. Just on a high level note, then we can just do things. Is that fine for you, Neeraj? Just
Yes,
5
no,
more.
Shravan. Please keep on going. Like the session is going good. I just don't want to make it too hard for you because it's a late night for you there.
No problem. That's fine. JSON. Okay. So now guys, date, time, timestamp and dates when we are working, right? The very common thing, if you want to print the current timestamp value, please try to use now. Now is the function that we are using to print the current timestamp value, right? So that is one thing. Let me use a proper this thing. Okay. Current. Okay. Now I want to print, this is my timestamp. I am staying in India, right? So it gives 11. So it is giving IST time, but I want to know CST time. So what is the syntax? Anyone can say? So now greater than define your time zone. Okay. When you're defining your time zone, it will give you a CST time, which is like 11:30 a.m. Right?
Can we try EST?
EST?
Yeah.
Okay. Because you're in EST zone?
Yes.
Okay. So this is EST. Clear?
Awesome.
This is 1 hour ahead. Make it IST. Already current is IST because my server is running in IST time zone. Okay. You can just, if you see here, IST, it will give the same. Clear? Okay. So this is regarding your time zones. If you, because this is really important when, suppose example, your application is deployed in one zone. Okay. For example, your mule application is deployed in some US region. Okay. And you are just, suppose there is a database operation where you need to insert the timestamp value, but that database, if it is in, if it is expecting in some other time zone, you have to make sure that please define your time zones first before coding. Just ask them which time zone they want to insert. Okay. Clear? Now, next, if you want to convert date to string, how to do that? Okay. For that, let me put where a equal to now, because I don't want to write now again and again. Okay. So my value a, here you can see this one. Okay. Next, I wanted to convert it into string, a as string. Okay. Format. Okay. Now you can see it is giving an empty string. Okay. Make sure that when you're converting it to string, date should be in a specific format. Now, what I wanted to do is I want my something to display like YYYY/mm/DD. Okay. It is giving 2021-03-06. It is giving only date because YYYY, MM and DD are date related things. Okay. If you want to have something like colon, HH, it is giving hours dot mm, it is giving minutes dot SS, it is giving seconds. Make sure that uppercase mm is nothing but months, lowercase mm is minutes. Don't, if you write mm here, you will be out of box. Okay, mm is not, so you can see this is like, you know, showing 03 because 03 minutes is happening over here. It is like a coincidence. 03 is also a month, March. Okay, okay. So, but mm is minutes, so please use capital mm. Okay, this is how you need to convert into string. Any kind of format, just if I want it like hyphen, I can give a hyphen only if it is a valid date. Okay, if it is showing a valid date. Next, I want something to display like Jan, Feb, March, April, something like that. So what I can do is I can use MMM. So when it is MMM, it is saying March, it will take the first 3 letters of each month. Okay, Jan, Feb, MAR. Okay, clear? Next, if you want to print whole month name, right, March, then you can write 4 M's, which will give the whole part. Clear everyone, this part? If you want to use full month or how to convert from date to string.
Yes.
Okay, so next, now I want to convert my string to date. Now let's copy this same string. When I want to convert a string to date, it should be in a specific date format. So this format should be a valid one that should be accepted by date format. Okay, so if I say as date, okay, if I say as date, it is not accepting. It is saying cannot co-add string 2021 blah 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 to date because it is not a proper format. Okay, for that what I have to do first, I should take a date timestamp. That string should be a valid. This March it will never take. Okay, I'll show you how to convert this again to March, but it will never take March as input. Okay, just have it proper format. Okay, as date. Now I am getting as date. By default, date format by default is YY hyphen MM hyphen DD. Okay, now what you can do is, now you can convert again date. Even date, for date you can use format. Okay, YY to date because text blah, 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 blah. Okay, let me remove this string. I think I have to convert. Okay, from date to string I have to convert it again. As date time it will not give. I will pick this date time value. Okay, as date time, yes, but I am just curious about format. Probably I have to convert into string again. Okay, so we cannot directly format it, just convert into as string. Again you can give MMM here, then it will work out. Okay, this is how you have to convert a string into date. The main thing which you need to understand, most of them will come up saying that I am not able to convert. They will come up with a value and say that I am not able to convert it into date format. Okay, because your string has to be a valid date. Okay, without that you cannot do it. Clear? So
Hey, sorry, I have one last question to you, Srinath. See,
Yeah.
when we work in the real-time environment, sometimes we never know what the dates the clients sends us. Is there any function where we will what do you say
No, it is
validate
not.
something and gives us a proper date?
No, it doesn't do that. We don't have that kind of feature in Mule. Okay, the only thing is you have to, you know, try it out like this. Okay, suppose take a sample string here. Okay, for example, if I'm using 2021 hyphen date, something like this. Okay, then I know that I'm not getting any error, and that's the reason it is coming correct. For example, if I use like MAR, okay, it will throw an error because the string first, because the reason is the actual date format is this one. Okay, so your string has to be in this format only. No MAR, no MARCH, nothing. No January, no February. Okay, so for that you have to definitely know what is the kind of string it is coming as, and if it is not a valid one, you have to inform your business that we cannot do this. Okay.
So the validation cannot be done. So it has to go to the data wave code, and
No, there
so
is
we'll
nothing.
get a runtime error.
Correct. Yes. Here itself, when you are coding, right? So that's the reason, right? I'm asking you guys to go with preview feature, because see, when you are having a specific field, that field, I mean, specific column type, that will be same across all the rows, right? So pick one value and just test it out. That's what many of them do. There are like epoch dates also, right? I don't know whether I can have an example. Let me copy this. Uh, so this is string as date time. Okay, as number. Okay, this is the something, we call it like epoch time something. If you guys have encountered this, sometimes you will be getting something like this. Okay, and if you are asked to convert into this, there will be something like, first you need to convert into number. Okay, then okay, I think as date or date time. Okay, you can see this is converted into date time. Clear in this scenario? So there are some date timestamps which comes like this, which is called epoch date. Someone has pinged me the other day. Then when I was going through this thing, right, I was able to get this. Clear?
Yeah, thanks, Ravan. I think you explored me a lot in the date time now.
Yeah. So next, one more small thing, adding days. Okay, very simple. Just I want to use now. Okay, as date is a format. Okay, now is a function. Now I want to add, just always try to wrap within small brackets just to avoid ambiguity. Okay, I always use that as a best practice. Okay, now as date, if you want to add days, what you have to do, plus there is a pipe symbol, two pipe symbols. Within pipe symbol, p is nothing but period. Okay, how many periods? I want to add 2 days to it. So d represents date. Okay, 2 represents the number of days, and then p is period. Okay, so now you can see the current date is 6th, and I have added 2 days extra, and it is showing 8. What if I want to add months? 2m. So it's like, April and May. How to add dates and time, guys? And if
Does
you
it
want,
work for year as well?
yeah, yes. So for here, what it would be? Sorry, and it should be P Y. It is 2023.
Hey Shravan, Akshay here. Could you explain once again line number 10?
Line number, sorry.
10. A string to date.
Okay, only this example, right?
Yes, yes.
So basically, this is called like epoch type. Okay, epoch type or epoch type. I don't know how to spell it, but it comes like something like this. Okay, so basically, to understand that how it comes, what I have done is, blah blah blah. Let me keep this. Okay, colon, and let me paste it over here. Sorry. Okay, this is a string, right? So when you convert into number, as this is looking long, isn't it? As this is looking long, sometimes what they do is like, there is a type called epoch type or something. Sorry, as date time. Okay, and then as number. So this is how it looks. Okay, that format. If you want to convert this format, so what I am trying to do is, this is the syntax. Clear?
Okay. Yep.
Right? So
Yes.
2 years period, all these things is fine. Next, suppose I have as date. Let me keep this as date. I want to copy 2 things. Okay, this is my date as date, and you can see, though it is printing as string, and guys, can you tell me how to check the data type? What is the syntax? Anyone know? Type of, right? So here it is showing date. It is not as though it is within double quotes. Okay. Type of this is a date. Okay. Now what I wanted to do is, let me copy this, or I can just remove this. This is not necessary for me. Okay. I have 2021 3/6. Okay. So next thing what I want to do is, this is my date minus, can you see here, when I'm subtracting two dates, it is giving in seconds, 0 seconds. Okay. Okay, Neeraj, I'll try to wrap it up quickly. Okay. So next is, if you want to like 2, okay, here it is giving 672 hours. Okay. What you can do is, you can wrap this whole. So the result of this subtraction will always result in period times. Okay. For that, what you can do is click on dot days. That will give 28 days, the difference between 2 days. So if you are directly doing this subtraction between 2 dates, right, it will give a period of time. Okay, 672 hours. It will always give in hours. But if I want to have in days, you can just click on type, like just wrap it everything within small braces and use dot days. Clear, everyone? 7 is the type of your date, whether the type is date or string. Which one, which line, can you quickly say? This one you are saying, type of?
No, there was in the chart. Is there any function called isDate type?
So is date type, sorry?
Yeah, in the chart, someone had written isDate type function. So we just asked what is isDate function.
We'll
isDate
ask-
type.
I have made a note of all the questions. We'll
Someone
ask the
asked
question.
like, is there any validation to check whether the value is date or not? So to continue that, yeah.
Okay. So,
That's what I'm saying, like I have made a list of all the questions, and we'll talk about them in just 2 minutes.
Okay. I'm
Can
not
you try
aware.
is date? Can you try is date?
Okay.
Even this is also not working.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that, but yeah, if there is anything, I'll definitely post it. Okay, guys, as we are running out of time, can we have is date type? Okay, can we have this thing, quiz?
So, Shravan, maybe you can show the last slides, and then we'll conduct the quiz.
Yeah, 1 second. Someone wants to try this. I think we need to use some libraries over here. I guess I need to add something here. Import some library. Use that date
Like
type.
you have to import it from type
Yeah.
code.type module.
Yeah. So where is that? This one.
Yep.
Sorry. Cool. Anyways, we have that link. You can just check it out. Okay. Let's go over the slides. So guys, I was not able to tell few other things. I will cover it in next session. Okay, like upper join, how to create custom functions and all, lookups and all. Okay. So queries, please write out to Neeraj. I think he has gathered all the questions. And yeah, Neeraj, please go ahead.
So guys, first of all, thank you so much, Shravan. It was a good session, and I think it was very much interactive. And it was like very difficult for me to stop you because I want to hear you more and more.
Yeah.
And extremely sorry for that. But just wanted to tell everyone that if you are passionate about